Hello and welcome to the number one championship podcast. I'm Ryan Dilks and it's deadline day here in the championship and across football in general. It's the most stressful time of the year. And I'm of course joined by the Natalie Sawyer to my Jim White. It's Justin Peach.
Good day to you, Ryan.
Justin, I think I'm right in saying this is your first transfer deadline day where you're covering the second tier Twitter, and having had that burden in the past, it's an absolute nightmare, which I'm thankful I don't have to deal with anymore.
I think the annoying thing is we've not really had enough sort of flow. I expected the morning to be busier, but then sort of between midday and 3 o'clock, everything just fell in that period. Got a little bit quiet now, but things are starting to tick over again. So yes, I have been glued to my phone. Yes, I have been refreshing a lot. And yes, there is far too much to cover. So I don't envy you, Ryan. And you don't envy me anymore.
Yeah, because it's been pretty mad today, trying to keep a track of everything that's going on, because it's difficult anyway, considering we've got 24 teams who we're trying to keep tabs on, but it's particularly been difficult today. But a big thank you, first of all, I should say, to everyone who's viewing us here today. Thank you for joining us for this live stream, and a big thank you if you are subscribed to the channel, because we've reached 15k subscribers, Justin, in the last 24 hours, I think I'm right in saying, which is a fantastic achievement on our behalf, considering I think this time last year we had like just over 6,000. So we've really been building up over the past year, and I cannot be thankful enough to everyone who has subscribed. But if you're not subscribed yet, make sure you smash that subscribe button to get involved with us for the foreseeable future, and for any more live streams like this that we continue to plan to do. If you are watching the live stream right now, we've had a few comments already. We'll read out as many as we can. Leave a comment if you haven't, and get involved in the conversation. Let us know any deals which you want us to talk about, any potential deals or any deals which have been confirmed now. We'll try to cover as many as we can over the next hour or so. We're here to talk about the final hour of the transfer deadline, and get as many stories under our belts as possible. As I say, we're here for an hour, so we've got plenty of time to chat about all the ins and outs across the Champo. We've got a comment here from Nat Evening Legends. As a Wednesday fan, it's just a Monday for me. Richard says, I've got a trillion tabs open. It's very stressful. Yeah, I'm trying to limit my tab opens at the moment, Justin, because we are trying to save our bandwidth for this live stream, but it's difficult keeping track, into it, as I say.
Yeah, well, the million tabs, obviously, got the live stream. Modern day, despite it being 2025, we still can only have 2 or 3 tabs open on our laptops while we stream to the world. But that's transfer deadline day. We've got to keep up with it. We've got to make sure we deliver the news to those who are watching, I guess.
Yeah, and we will be spending a lot of time today not looking at each other, because we'll be checking our phones for any. Yeah, it's not personal. We'll be looking at any deals which are happening as things go. I'm literally just scrolling through my notifications right now to see if anything has happened. But we'll talk about some of the bits and pieces, Justin. We've, as I say, we've got Nat, the Wednesday fan, here, and it's kind of unfortunately, it's not been a very busy day for Sheffield Wednesday, has it? There was a lot of hope heading into deadline day that they may be given the chance to sign some players. Of course, the EFL have put the foot down and said they're not allowing Wednesday to sign any players unless Chansiri can make it clear that he's going to be able to pay their wages going forwards. There have been some suggestions over the course of the day that Wednesday will be allowed to sign loan players if the wages are completely covered by the parent club. Now, I don't know what the latest is with that. They have been linked with Jaden Heskey from Man City, Harry Amass from Man United. But at the moment, it doesn't look like, as far as I'm aware, that they will be able to get any players in, which is a big shame for Wednesday. But ultimately, I don't blame the EFL for doing that.
Well, we know what the EFL stance is, and it's completely fair. We've spoke about it before. No point adding players to a squad you can't guarantee you're going to pay the next month. I guess if these moves are going to happen, it's going to happen very late in the window, because obviously you mentioned if the parent clubs, if you like, are happy to waive the wages, then I'm sure, they'll be able to join Sheffield Wednesday. But that is a big ask in the modern game. I don't really agree with that, because these players are going to get really good experience, and that's more valuable for the parent clubs than a couple £100. Probably isn't a couple £100, but you get the point. So yeah, it's disappointing. I guess for Sheffield Wednesday is just making sure they don't lose any players, and the players have been paid. Sorry, players have been paid, and it's just getting to that deadline, making sure they still got everybody.
Yeah, the EFL, as I say, I can't blame them for taking that stance because they've got to do what's right for Sheffield Wednesday going forwards. And it would just be, they'd look daft, wouldn't they, if they allowed them to sign some players and then they weren't getting paid in a month's time. So it's understandable that they've gone with that. As far as Wednesday are concerned, it is a shame because they were hoping to get any sort of additions. And I can't remember, can you ever recall anyone who's gone a whole summer without signing anyone? Because Wednesday may become the first Championship club ever to do that. Because I certainly can't think of anyone who's done it.
Not in the Championship, but I remember Pochettino kicking off, didn't he, when the Spurs didn't sign anyone over a summer, and ultimately led to his departure. But in the Championship, when you do lose players because you're ultimately a selling club, you are going to lose players. Players are going to leave on a free transfer. Yeah, this might be a first. It's going to take a fair bit of research to dive into that, but it might be interesting to find out. Yeah, if any teams over the past sort of 20 years have done that. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a bit of an unprecedented situation, really, isn't it? I should say, when it comes to those sorts of loans where the wages are completely paid for by the parent club, it's very unusual for that to happen in the Championship. It's usually something you see in sort of League Two, National League, maybe occasionally in League One. At Championship, it's very rarely seen, but that's the kind of market that Sheffield Wednesday are finding themselves battered in for obvious reasons. So even if they were to get some loan players in, how good they actually are, I mean, they're very young talents. They may go on to have great careers, but how much they'll actually improve the team right now, difficult to say, unfortunately. But Sheffield Wednesday, as things stand, it looks like won't be signing anyone before the deadline closes. We've had a few comments here from Pompey fans, Justin, asking for our thoughts on the return of the prodigal son. Because Connor Chaplin is going back to Portsmouth. Bowkers wants to know our thoughts on it, as does Stephen. He says, great business, but I hope this doesn't mean Murphy is leaving. But yeah, Justin, what do you think of this? Connor Chaplin going back to Portsmouth on loan from Ipswich. Certainly one that's caught my eye today.
Yeah, it's caught my eye. And I think if nothing sort of drastic happens over the next hour or so, I think this might be the signing of the deadline day, because what Portsmouth are getting is a player who's won promotion, who's been prolific in his last couple of seasons in the Championship. He scored 13, and when Ipswich went up from a sort of attacking midfield position, he scored 26 in League One the season before that. He's been all about the goals while he's been at Ipswich. So for Portsmouth to get him back in on loan, I think is a tremendous bit of business. And as well, I think this is a big thing. I saw a couple of Ipswich fans say on social that it's a shame that losing him, because every time he's featured in an Ipswich shirt last season and this season, he's always been the bright spark. So yeah, it's disappointing, I imagine, from an Ipswich perspective, because Chaplin's played such a huge role in getting them to where they are now. But Portsmouth are getting a player who's in his prime years, who knows the club incredibly well, who's going to want to really do well once again. So yeah, this is a really, really impressive bit of business from Pompey.
Yeah, it really is. Considering, as you say, you mentioned his numbers just a second ago. He was one of the standout attacking players in the Championship just a couple of years ago. So for Pompey to get him is, I do agree with you, it could definitely be seen as possibly the transfer of deadline day. How he fits into the team, I think, is going to be interesting, because Adrian Sagicic, who's come in, has looked really, really bright so far, playing in that number 10 role. Josh Murphy on the left, obviously one of the players of the season last season. I don't think he's going to be leaving, as far as I'm aware, because he has been linked with a move to Leicester. But from what I'm seeing, Portsmouth seem very keen to keep a hold of him. Oh, yeah. So I guess that means the natural gap for Connor Chaplin is going to be on the right-hand side, where he did play a fair bit prior to moving to Ipswich, but at Ipswich has been mainly seen as a number 10. So if that is the case, you got Josh Murphy on one wing, Connor Chaplin on the other wing, Adrian Sagicic in the middle. I like that, Justin. I like that a lot.
It's very fluid, isn't it? It's very, very fluid. And something that I spoke about in pre-season was the fact that they've got a lot of players who can shoot from distance. We forget John Swift. Connor Chaplin's got a decent left foot on him as well. This is a very, very impressive team with a lot of attacking potential. So it's exciting. It's very, very exciting. And I think something that I did mention is that Portsmouth have a lot of fluidity in that final third, a lot of fluidity, way more than they had last season, way more. So what they can potentially do, as long as John Messina gets that balance right defensively and going forwards, they can be a very scary outfit. We were impressed with the summer before Connor Chaplin came in. Now I'm salivating at the thought of this Portsmouth lineup going forwards now.
Yeah, that's a very exciting attacking trio, isn't it? As we say, elsewhere, Portsmouth have done some other business already today. They've got Joe Bursick on a permanent deal from Club Brugge. He's goalkeeper. He was at Stoke a few years ago. I don't think he's played at all for Club Brugge since moving there, so that seems a bit of a strange one. But he was on loan at Hibs. And has now gone to Pompey, I assume, as a number 2, because Schmidt in goal for Pompey is a very good keeper. But you sound like you like the sound of that one, Justin.
Only because when he was on loan at Accrington Stanley, he took free kicks. There's no, I don't know how he is as a goalkeeper, but a goalkeeper, if you take free kicks, is a winner in my eyes, Ryan.
He was a pretty good keeper when he was at Stoke. He was still very young, but he certainly looked like he was capable of playing at that level.
Yeah. Can you remember who signed him for Club Brugge?
Was it Scott Parker?
It was Scotty P. Yeah, it was.
There you go. That's what we like to see. So, yeah, I don't know how he's been getting on in the couple of years that he's been away over in Belgium, but still fairly young as far as goalkeepers go, so could be a good signing. They've also got in Mackenzie Kirk, who's a 21-year-old Northern Irish striker from St Johnstone on a permanent deal. So, yeah, Pompey certainly very active on the final day of the window. I've got some more comments here. Sam is a Blues fan, wants to know about Patrick Roberts going there. Another one which has caught my eye because he was being linked with Derby earlier on in the day, but Birmingham seemed to have snuck in and got him on loan, although that's not confirmed yet, but it certainly looks like the direction he's heading in. What do you think about that one, Justin?
Do you want my Derby hat on or do you want my neutral hat on?
I don't know.
I'm bitterly disappointed because he's a very talented player, very very talented player. I'm not going to throw fists, Ryan. Calm down, relax. We're good. I know we're before the watershed, but we're all good here. We're all good here. I am really impressed with the potential signing of Patrick Roberts. He has a lot of balance that I don't think Birmingham really have at the moment. He's a player who doesn't possess a lot of pace, but the technical ability with the ball, dribbling wise, and beating his man in one-on-one positions and getting the ball into good players in good areas, I think he's going to add a really nice dimension to that Birmingham attack. We know what Jay Stansford can do in terms of linking the play up, and Furuhashi needs players around him, and Patrick Roberts can be one of those players. So, yeah, it's a good signing because he's a good player. He changed the game for Sunderland in the playoff final as well. We're pointing that out. He played such a huge role in turning it around for them. So, yeah, I do like it. Disappointing not coming to Derby, but Birmingham are getting a very, very good player.
Yeah, there's an obvious gap with Birmingham on the wing right now, isn't there? So they needed to get an attacker in, and Patrick Roberts, I think, fits in there very well. I think Sunderland fans were quite often berating him at various stages because I think he perhaps didn't perform to the levels that many of them were expecting. Yeah. But if you're looking for someone who's able to cut in from that right-hand side and make themselves a proper nuisance, he can do that. Yeah. Yes, it may not have gone as well as he perhaps would have liked at Sunderland in the past couple of years, but he's still a very, very talented player, Justin.
Yeah, he's one of those players where you know what he can do, but it just doesn't always transpire that he's going to do it every week. But I think that's Flair players in general. They're not going to do what you want them to do 100% of the time. They're going to come in and out of games. And I think with Regis Lebris last season as well, Sunderland were somewhat defensive at times. And I think the biggest thing that impressed me last season with Patrick Roberts is he bought into it. He wasn't a player that's always inspired me in the sense that he's going to do the dirty work as well. But with the intensity that Birmingham want to play at, they need players who are going to buy into that. And what I saw from Patrick Roberts last season was there is a player who can do that.
Yeah, we've got some breaking news, Justin, regarding Sheffield Wednesday, which we were just talking about very not too long ago. Andy Giddings from BBC Radio Sheffield, he's reporting that all the planned incoming transfers at Sheffield Wednesday are on the brink of collapse. Yeah. He says at the 11th hour, the EFL have once again vetoed all attempts to sign players today, despite huge efforts from Henrik Pedersen and his recruitment team to add to the squad, which is such a huge blow for Wednesday, but unfortunately not a surprising one, as we were just saying. Got some more comments. We've got this one from Leon Peacock, who wants to know our thoughts on Borough's window as a whole. We will be doing a big transfer window review, Leon, this coming week. So hold your horses on that. But we'll talk about Middlesbrough now, actually, because the latest reports I'm seeing, Justin, is that Alan Brown will be joining on loan from Sunderland, which is a very tasty one. That one, I like that one a lot.
Yeah, he's a very experienced midfielder, and I think something that Middlesbrough currently lack is a bit of a general in that midfield. And I think that's the sort of player that Alan Brown slowly become over the past couple of years. Is that midfielder who's going to do a bit of the dirty work, bark around the orders, and be the leader they need. Not suggesting that he's going to be an automatic starter, especially if Hayden Hackney and Aidan Morris are in that midfield, because that pairing does look very, very nice. But Alan Brown gives that midfielder depth that it needs. Obviously, losing Johnny Howson as well in the summer, despite him being quite old, you do lose a voice in the changing room. And I think having that personality like Alan Brown, was captain at Preston, was a big leader at Sunderland last season. Yeah, it's going to be useful. So can't see him having as much of an impact as others, but it's good to have these players in the dressing room, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, I'm just getting distracted by the news that's happening around me as we speak. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how much he's going to play ahead of Morris and Hayden Hackney, because those two are just absolutely top class. But he's still a very good option to have, as Sunderland found out last season. And he can be someone who's a bit of a leader in the dressing room as well. So, yeah, I think it's a very smart bit of business. And you can't really go too wrong with someone like him. Jeremy has a comment here. He wants our thoughts on Swansea's business thus far and options coming in at the close of the window. Because, yes, Swansea surprisingly been one of the busiest clubs on a deadline day. They are still working on a deal to get Adam Eder, reportedly initially for £6 million from Celtic. Ishi Samuel Smith is coming in on loan from Strasbourg, as well as a young left back who I believe Chelsea signs, but he's part of the whole Blue Co group thing, who seem to be just hoovering up any players that they can possibly get their hands on. But what do you think about that, Justin? Adam Eder potentially joining Swansea for £6 million.
Very busy player, very energetic. Physically, he's capable at championship level. We know that. Is he prolific enough for £6 million? I don't think he is. But then again, I think we've seen a going rate for strikers this summer be very, very expensive. Josh Coburn going for £5 million, Patrick Aguiman going to Derby for £6-7 million. It's been an expensive summer for buying strikers. So I think this is probably just about right in terms of where clubs are actually spending. So I would argue that Jerry Yates may have been a better option than Adam Eder. No, you're not buying that?
Yeah, I'm definitely not sure about that take.
Okay. I think in terms of a goal scorer at championship level, Jerry Yates has done a little bit more than Adam Eder. That's all I would say there, but I think that's a debate for probably another day that definitely won't invigorate Swansea fans. But yeah, it's expensive, but as I say, I think this has been the going rate for strikers this summer. I think a lot of clubs have overpaid for a lot of number nines.
Well, I was frequently quite critical about Adam Eder towards the end of his Norwich City days, because he flattered to deceive on plenty of occasions. But since going to Celtic, it seems like he has had a bit of a career rejuvenation. By no means is he starting every week there, but he seems to have done pretty well. And I think Celtic were actually quite keen to keep him. So it was going to take a big offer to get them to sell, and Swansea have come along with it. He's still only 24, so still got room to develop. Maybe this, I'm not completely sure, because, as we'll always say, the Scottish leagues aren't the highest of standards when Celtic are just battering, Forfar around or whoever. But it's the first team who came to my head. Don't think they've been in the Scottish Premiership in years. But yeah, I don't really know with Adam Eder. I can see what you were saying, Justin. Maybe not with the Jerry Yates bit, but £6 million. It's sort of the going rate now for strikers at this level, and Swansea definitely needed a striker. I can say that 100%. So Eder may be the answer. Samuel Smith, I think, is an interesting one, because 2 or 3 years ago, it seemed like he was one of the most highly rated young left backs in the whole country. So how he develops at Swansea, I'll be very, very intrigued to see. How much is he going to play ahead of Josh Tymon? Also not sure. So interesting, Swansea's business. And had a new update here regarding Oxford and their captain Elliot Moore has been allowed to leave by mutual agreement after 6 years at the club, which seems like a strange one. Charlton have emerged as the favourites to land Chelsea forward David Datro Fofana, ahead of Preston on loan. That's according to Football Insider. So, want to keep an eye on there. A comment here from Rob, who is an Ipswich fan. He says Coventry have had our pants down by getting Luke Wolfenden for £4 million. Ridiculous. Yeah, let's talk about Ipswich, Justin, because it seems like most of the attention today has been regarding players going out the door, Wolfenden being one, Connor Chaplin being another. Sounds like earlier today, I don't know what the latest is with this story, but Mark McGuinness might be joining on a permanent deal from Luton. What do you think about that?
What do I think about Mark McGuinness? Luton overpaid for him massively. What was it, £8 million? They
I think
paid
it was
for him.
£10 million.
Yeah, scary amount. I'm a squad player. Think so. Yeah, as a central defender in a back three, I think he works well. I think he can be horribly exposed as a centre back in a back four. I'm not sure. I'm entirely on board with that one. I think I'd rather keep Luke Wolfenden, to be honest with you, than get Mark, because Mark McGuinness can play, but he's not as composed or as quick as Luke Wolfenden. So if Ipswich are going to play a little bit higher up the pitch, then I think you need players like Luke Wolfenden. But then again, if he wants first team football, then he's going to want to go out the door. So yeah, I'm not wholly convinced by Mark McGuinness.
I think the fee that Luton paid for him may be kind of swaying your vision a bit with Mark McGuinness, because obviously the £10 million Luton paid for him was astronomically too much for the player that he is. I think he's a very solid defender at Championship level, and I think he will be just a backup at Ipswich, because I can't see him starting ahead of Jacob Greaves or Dara O'Shea by any means. How much they're going to pay for him, if it is a permanent, will be interesting. That will be something I'll be keeping an eye on if that deal does come through, because Luton seem to be kind of cutting costs at the same time when they're down in League One now, don't they? So maybe they'll be able to get them for a bargain fee. I don't really know. But yeah, I don't think it's one that I'd be too cynical about personally, but would I prefer Luke Wolfenden over him? Yeah, because Luke Wolfenden's not really done much wrong in an Ipswich shirt throughout his time there, has he? Speaking of which, Luke Wolfenden to Coventry for £4 million. You're thinking that's a good move, do you?
Yeah, well, we spoke about it a couple of weeks ago. I think it's a very good move, and I don't mean to disrespect Liam Kitching. I think it's a massive upgrade on Liam Kitching, because I think there's a pacey player there. It might not be a direct replacement for Liam Kitching. Obviously, Kitching not going out the door at Coventry, but what I'm saying is Kitching drops to the bench and Wolfenden and Bobby Thomas becomes a partnership there. But I think that's an obvious upgrade. But then again, if Frank Lampard wants to go to a back three, which he played with frequently last season, arguably Coventry's turnaround and results came from that switch as well. So that gives him a little bit of flexibility. And Luke Wolfenden on the right hand side of a back three is very capable operator, and almost becomes a bit of a fullback in that position as well. So I think it's a very good signing. I think it's a big upgrade on their defence. Is it Charlie Hughes? No, it isn't, but it's someone, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know why you're talking about a back three, because Lampard always goes with a back four, doesn't he?
So back three last season at times, didn't he? So
it's mostly a back four, but whatever the case, doesn't matter. I don't know if he's going to play ahead of Liam Kitching. It seemed like Coventry were very keen to get a centre half in, because at one point it looked like Bobby Thomas might be heading out the door, but now it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. But you can't go. You can never have enough depth, can you? So I think it's still a very good move for Coventry. And Ipswich fans very upset about losing him, as we just heard from Rob. Got a new update here just in regarding Swansea City, who we were just talking about a second ago. They're now trying to sign Burnley winger Manuel Benson after his move to Celtic fell through. I did see earlier that Swansea were very keen to get a right winger in who is left-footed, and they've been linked with a fair few players, I think Patrick Roberts being one of them. So getting Benson in is a very interesting one. Got another comment here regarding Ipswich. This is from Horse Hollerer. Chaplin and Wolfie both need regular football in my opinion. So, yeah, makes sense. I think that's why Wolfenden wanted to leave, because he knew he wasn't going to get that at Ipswich. A comment here from Matt, who says West Brom still need a striker. If Hegebo gets injured, we are screwed. Let's talk about West Brom, Justin, because the reports I saw literally just minutes before we were coming on here today is that Sasa Kaladzic from Wolves may be joining on loan, the big 6'7" striker who went to Wolves a couple of years ago. He struggled with injury a fair bit, but that'd certainly be a very interesting one, that one, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think he did his ACL. I can't remember when exactly he did it, but I think injuries like that when you first go to a club do disrupt you significantly. But he's a big lad, and again, if he does come into West Brom, it just adds to this physical profile that's been recruited so far. Hegebo's a big lad. Nat Phillips is a big lad. Alfie Gilchrist is a very defensive operator. He's a big lad. George Campbell, a big lad. Christian Bielik, a big lad as well. Chris Mepham's the smallest one that they've signed so far, and obviously Samuel Illing Jr. is coming on loan as well. But yeah, there seems to be a physical profile that's being recruited at the Hawthorns, which is not negative, it's a positive, because they're clearly trying to go a slightly different way. I think Matt mentions the talk of strikers getting injured. I know Josh Madger and Daryl Dike's fitness records aren't great. Devante Cole.
Yeah, that's good. Oh, who would I rather have, Devante Cole or Sasa Kaladzic? I wonder. Kaladzic, 3 years ago, moved to Wolves for £15 million. And so, while he has struggled with injuries, it looks like a solid move, that, doesn't he? Still only 28 as well. But as you say, the players that West Brom have got, they're going to be an absolute nightmare from set pieces, aren't they? When you're having to think to yourself. Exactly. With a bit of help from Victor Janssen. But if you're looking at, right, I've got this 6'7" striker to mark, who's going to be marking Christian Bielik, Nat Phillips, etc.? Yeah. Sounds like my idea of hell. But you did mention it just then, Justin. Samuel Illing Jr. has come in on loan from Aston Villa. He was on loan at Middlesbrough last season, wasn't he? And he caught my eye on plenty of occasions there last season. So that looks like a solid move. Be interesting to see who gets the nod between him and Callum Styles going forwards. This is an interesting question from Nick, Justin. Where do you think Patrick Bamford is likely to end up? Because his contract was terminated at Leeds was it yesterday or the day before? It was sometime over the weekend.
It was over the weekend, yeah.
Yeah.
A good question. I mean, he's podcasting. He's been doing podcasting with Joe Wilkinson at the moment, the comedian Joe Wilkinson, which is an interesting duo. Not to suggest that he's going to get a lovely contract at the BBC doing that full time, but
maybe stick to football, Patrick.
This is our realm, boy. But with Bamford, it's funny because he gets a lot of stick and ridicule, even from me, about him missing chances, but he is still a good striker. His contract at Leeds, or his last contract at Leeds, was astronomical, and that is ultimately, I think, what has done him in a little bit, because he could have easily gone to another club and been a regular there. So I think there's still a Patrick Bamford that fits into a Championship team. It's just got to be at the right price. It's the case with any injury-prone striker that's dropping down a level. It's got to be at the right price.
I think Patrick Bamford, I agree with you. I think he can still do a job at this level. I'm not sure what level club that is, because it's quite hard to get a grasp of what level he was at when he was playing with Leeds. Finishing left a lot to be desired at times when he was at Leeds. But he does, yeah, you're absolutely right. You say what you want about Patrick Bamford, but that lad knows where to be when it comes to deliveries being put into the box, because he gets himself in a lot of positions. It's just about actually making the most of those positions that's been an issue. But yeah, I don't know where he's going to end up, if I'm being honest. Whether it would just be as a backup for a top end Championship side, or whether someone lower down looks at him and think, if he can stay fit, he could definitely do a job for us on a regular basis. So I'm not really too sure. What age is Patrick Bamford now, Justin?
31. Got to be 31.
31, is he? Wow. Okay. Yeah, I think he could still do a job for someone. 31, you could still get a couple of years out of him, I reckon. I was going to say Wrexham as sort of my lazy link there, but surely they don't need any more strikers, because they've signed a million strikers already, but it feels like a very Wrexham move, that doesn't it? So I don't know. Got breaking news, Justin. Adam Eder from Celtic to Swansea has now come through, and Manuel Benson looks like he's also heading to Swansea as well, which would be a very tidy move. That I was saying in sort of the build up to the new season that Swansea needed to strengthen going forwards, because defensively, absolutely brilliant. I'm liking the look of them man to man at the back, but going forwards, they definitely need to strengthen a bit more. Got a comment here from Ryan who wants to know what we think of Norwich keeping Josh Sargent. Surely the best business in this window. We were saying that yesterday, weren't we, Justin? That's whoever Norwich get in, whatever rats go down to Suffolk, their best business is going to be Josh Sargent staying at Norwich, and that looks like it's going to be happening. I did see a bit of interest late on from Sunderland in his services, but that doesn't look like that's going to be happening now, and therefore Josh Sargent staying at Norwich. I'm stunned that it's happened. If you told me at the start of the window he would still be a Norwich player, I'd been very surprised, but such an important bit of business. Well, I say a bit of business, it's not really a bit of business, but you see what I mean. It's such an important thing for Norwich.
Bit of non-business.
Exactly.
He nearly went to Wolfsburg, didn't he? But he pulled out of that because I think I think I'm right in saying he wanted to stay and angle for a Premier League move, I guess.
That's what I was hearing as well, because Burnley was sniffing around at the time, but then they went with someone else, and then he was kind of left in limbo from the sounds of it.
Yeah, but look, he's a £20 million player. I think if you buy a £20 million player who's got a very good clinical history of scoring goals at any level, then you're going to say that's the best bit of business at the window. So I think Norwich keeping hold of Josh Sargent, he's imperative to any aspirations Norwich have. They've signed a lot of players and they've got a lot of talented players who are yet to hit the ground at Carrow Road. So at least with Sargent, you can rest easy knowing you've got someone there who's going to bag the goals, and ultimately he's going to take the pressure off those players around him, like Fiskardin, like Jurisic, like Cernic as well. Sargent's going to deliver. So the players that are around him, almost, I wouldn't say have to worry. They will have to deliver at some point, but you know you're going to get goals somewhere.
Yes, it does surprise me really that a Premier League club hasn't looked at him and thought, this guy is a proven goal scorer. Like, how much more evidence do you need in the Championship that he is a proven goal scorer? Yes, he's going to cost a pretty penny, but what more evidence do you need that he will get you goals, even in the Premier League?
Maybe injuries. But then again, you think about it a little bit deeply, his injuries are all impact injuries. He's on the other end of, he's unlucky with the ones he gets. He's not getting thigh injuries or hamstring injuries. It's mainly his ankle and him getting absolutely rifled. So, yeah, not ideal.
No, not ideal at all. Middlesbrough have now confirmed the signing of Alan Brown, which, as we were just saying a second ago, looks a good bit of business. They're also finalising a deal for John McLaughlin, Justin, the goalkeeper. That's a name I haven't heard in a while. Fair enough.
Middlesbrough?
Yeah, he's going to be their third choice.
Well, I'm sure he was at Sunderland at one point.
He was, many moons ago. Oh. Yeah. But Middlesbrough have also been trying to move out Seny Dieng for a lot of today. I think QPR was showing an interest in getting him back, but that doesn't look like it's happening at the moment. We've got 25 minutes left of the transfer window, Justin. Of course, there's going to be deals which are happening after the window closes. But if you are joining us for the live stream very recently, then hello. Make sure you leave a comment below. Get involved in the conversation. Ask us any questions that you want regarding the deadline day deals, and we'll try to answer as many as we can. We've got a comment here from Jack Poynton. He says, I listen to every podcast on my commute, but first time watching on YouTube. Love the content, guys. Cheers, Jack. We've got some more. Let's talk about one of the big hitters on deadline day, Justin. That is Wrexham, who have confirmed the deal to sign Ben Shee from Coventry for £6.5 million, which does look like an unbelievable get from a Wrexham perspective. I did see them earlier today being linked with Issa Kabore, the right back from Man City, which will be an interesting one. I haven't heard anything about that since, so I don't know what the latest is on that. Dom Heim is another one who they've been linked with throughout the day, a centre-back, obviously from Blackburn. Some other clubs have been showing interest in getting him as well, but Wrexham seem like they are very much leading that race heading into the final hours of the final few minutes of deadline day. But as I say, deals may carry on past the deadline. But what do you think to Dom High and potentially going to Wrexham, Justin?
I like it. I really like it. He's a very steady Championship defender, and Wrexham signing steady Championship players is a good thing because they come up from League One. They spent big on a lot of players who are just not overly convinced by fee wise. But if you're getting Dom Hine for a couple of £1 million, you've got a very dependable defender there. A very dependable defender. I like him. I really do. I think Blackburn. I don't know who's left at Blackburn. It's one of these things. You almost need a dust to settle at Ewood Park to actually figure out who's left, who's still around, and who they've brought in, because there's a lot of recruitment abroad. But with Hyam, yeah, he's just a very capable defender at this level. Good to see him go to a club where they don't have to sell him to pay for the pitch, which is obviously what Coventry sold him for a couple of years ago. So yeah, always nice.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether Hyam's going to be starting week in, week out, considering who Wrexham have already signed this summer, but it's certainly an interesting one. And going off the back of what you were saying there with Blackburn, Justin, it is a bit concerning seeing who has gone out and who's come in, because a lot of the players who have come in have been relative unknowns, and the players who have gone, Dom Hyam, Lewis Travis, etc., some big characters there as well. Yeah. So, yeah, if that were to happen and they were to lose him, that would be a bit of a concerning one for me. They have been linked, Blackburn, with Taylor Gardner-Hickman, a loan from Birmingham, which he's a very versatile player, can fill in loads of positions. But yeah, whether it's a good swap for some of the players who have gone already, that would be a concern on my behalf. But Wrexham now, with the signing of Ben Sheaf having been confirmed earlier today, they have now broken a record, Justin. Are you aware of this? They have now become the biggest spenders in a single transfer window in Championship history for a club who haven't been freshly relegated from the Premier League, which is interesting. We're looking at over 30 million now, the first club to ever do that, as I say, without being just relegated from the Premier League. So interesting. I do recall earlier in the summer you were saying you didn't expect Wrexham to spend very much.
That is probably off the back of them saying, literally the day they got promoted on the pitch, there was a pitch invasion, and I believe the story that came out was they're just going to look at free agents. And they haven't.
No, they definitely haven't.
A lot of money. They spent a hell of a lot of money. I think there was always would be an expectation that they will spend. Again, there's debate whether or not they spent wisely, but yeah. I think I don't think I expected the calibre of player for them to get at this level. Like Lewis O'Brien, on his day, can be the best at this level. Ben Sheaf, on his day, when he's fit, can be one of the most all-round midfielders defensively at this level. You know, they're attracting proper Championship players. Kiefer Moore knows at the wrong end of his career, but he's still dependable. He's scored a couple of goals already at this level for Wrexham. So yeah, it's just a surprise that they've gone out and signed some of the players that they have. I just never expected them to attract them to the project, but they have. More fool me, egg on my face.
Yeah, big old omelette right on Justin Peach's face. We did see reports right at the start of the window that Wrexham and Birmingham, for that matter, will be looking at clubs. Will be looking at players who would usually be associated with moves to clubs just relegated from the Premier League. And Wrexham have more than lived up to that billing. You're absolutely right to say, have they spent all of that 30-odd million, as well as they possibly could have? Definitely question marks there. But some of their business has definitely got to be applauded. We'll just talk about Birmingham. Justin Haynes has a comment here. He says, I listen to you guys while doing my deliveries. Thank you, Haynes. Are you guys as shocked as me and fellow Blues fans how quiet we've been recently? Dying for a left back. Yeah, I was fully expecting Birmingham to be one of the busiest clubs heading into the final few days of the window, Justin. And it's not really happened just yet. As we were saying a few minutes ago, Patrick Roberts looks like he's coming in on loan from Sunderland. Will Smallbone on loan from Southampton was one I was seeing earlier today as well. They have been linked with Hayato Inamura, who's a left-back from Celtic, who I don't know much about, but considering the lack of depth at left-back, it did seem like Birmingham were screaming out for a new left back for a bit of backup for Alex Cochrane, but that doesn't seem to be the case now. So yeah, I have been a bit surprised with the lack of business going on at St Andrews. Got a comment here from David who says, "Will Ruben Sayers finally turn the Blades' fortunes around with these new additions?" Yeah, Sheffield United been very busy over the past week. We talked about some of their business over the past few days in yesterday's episode, but they've carried on doing the business today. Justin Chidozie Ogbeni joining on loan from Ipswich. I saw earlier today that he was joining for £8 million, but Sheffield United have announced it and it's only a loan deal, so I don't know what's happening there. Alex Matos has also joined on a permanent from Chelsea. He was on loan at Oxford last season. Highly rated young player, but Sheffield United got him on a permanent deal. What do you think about those two, Justin?
Are they the answer? I don't think they are.
Okay.
Alex Matos is very early on in his career. From what I know of him, he's very much a number 6 in that midfield, but he's yet to really get going. But he's still very young, and that's important. But are you going to expect him to come in and do the job that Vinny Sosa did last season? No, not to the same level, and that's what they're missing. They're missing that destructive player, as I spoke about on Sunday's episode. It's very important they recruit for that, but there's 17 minutes left of the window, left it very late. With Ogbeni, I do like Ogbeni a lot, but it's just very hard to fit him into a team because where's his best position? Is it as a right wing back? Is it as a right winger? Is it as a forward? Because he scored goals as a striker for Rotherham. He scored goals as a wing back for Luton. Where does he fit? And it's very clear that McKenna couldn't quite fit him in his system. So yeah, he seems like a utility signing, but he could have an impact. But again, it's just hard to see where he fits into a starting 11 for Sheffield United because again, right back's been a bit of a problem for them. Is he going to play right back? I doubt it because he's got too much going forward. So yeah, I think the best bit of business for the Blades is probably keeping Gus Harmer at this point.
I think it's he's very much been brought in with the idea of him playing on the right wing because that looks in the current system like the most likely position for him to be filling in. I think it's very interesting what you were saying about Matos, Justin, because yeah, you're absolutely spot on with Vinny Sousa. Trying to replace him is an absolute nightmare. Is a young lad from Chelsea the answer to that? Jury's out. In the long term, he definitely could be, but if you're asking a side if you're asking him to do a job week in, week out for a side who should be looking at the top 6, obviously not going very well right now, but should be looking at the top 6, that's a big ask, I think, based off what I've seen of him so far. Maybe he'll make that step up, but I'm not sure. So yeah, it's Ogbeni, I think, could be a good signing for Sheffield United this season. Matos, I think, in the long term will prove to be a good deal on a permanent. Yeah. But this season, question marks. But as you're alluding to, Justin, their big business of the day seems to be that Gustavo Harmer is staying. There were suggestions earlier in the day that Leeds were sniffing around in PSV as well. Yeah. But it looks like, unless something's going on behind the scenes, which we're not privy to, that Gustavo Harmer will be staying at Sheffield United, which is a big boost.
Yeah, huge boost. I think as well, there's been so many reports about him over the past couple of weeks, in that obviously Sheffield United were looking at a loan move or shipping him out on a loan move. In addition to that, he was at the F1 yesterday in Amsterdam, on Sunday I should say, which is quite funny because that's going to get the rumour mill going. But thankfully, he's staying. He came back. And he's staying at Bramall Lane, which is the biggest possible deal. If you're not going to go out and sign and replace big players for Sheffield United, then yes, keeping a hold of your best ones is important. So yeah, Harmer staying again, a bit like Josh Sargent, can be the best bit of business or best bit of non-business of the window for the Blades.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, everything is just going on around me right now. I'm looking at my phone over here. I'm trying to keep track of what's going on several different tabs in front of me as well. But we're trying to give you the most comprehensive rundown of everything that's going on from across the Championship, which is always very difficult in this crazy, crazy league. Got a comment here from Lee, the Southampton fan. Happy with our signings. We probably need a striker, but confident we can get top 2 with what we've got. Southampton, I don't think have done anything today, unless I've missed something. But it seems more a case of players potentially going out the door rather than anyone coming in as far as I'm aware. We've got some news regarding Watford. Just they've officially signed Jeremy Patrice from Sporting Charleroi. Watford doing a very good job of signing a lot of players who I have no idea about in the past few days. And let's talk about Leicester, Justin, because they've been had a very quiet summer. We were talking about Sheffield Wednesday not signing anyone throughout the entire window. Leicester very nearly had just their one incoming of the entire window being Asmir Begovic from a 38-year-old Asmir Begovic joining on a free transfer. They have, though, signed today Julian Carranza, who's a striker on loan from Feyenoord. I'm not expecting you to give me a big lowdown on him, Justin. But they have seen El Kanous leave for Stuttgart on loan. Jordan James and Aaron Ramsey are two who, as far as I'm aware, are still on the cards as things stand, which would certainly be interesting. Jordan James seemed to be attracting a lot of top-end championship clubs heading into the final few days of the window. They have failed in a move for Josh Brownhill, though, Justin, who seems to be turning down contracts all over the place. I saw he was linked with Wolves earlier today. I saw, well, obviously he turned down Burnley, a new deal there, and this contract that he was being offered from Leicester was apparently a very, very spenny one from a Leicester perspective. But Josh Brownhill apparently holding out for something else, which is interesting.
What? He's had 2 Premier League offers in Burnley and Wolves, and I think a Wolves offer would have been a good one. I'd have thought he'd have been in around that starting lineup because it do look a bit short on quality. Scored 18 goals last season. Jeezy, peeps, man. Surely, he fancied, playing in the Premier League again. It's bizarre that only him and his agent will know more about, because I think turning down 2 clubs in the Premier League is quite significant. Like, what are you holding out for? Are you holding out for a top half Premier League team to come in? Doubt you'll get it. Sorry. Are you holding out for a money spinning move to the Middle East? Maybe. A bit boring, but could be. But then Leicester again, title winner 10 years ago, FA Cup winner not too long ago, playing European football. I know they're not there now, but still a big club that do have a fair bit of a little bit of money to spend. It's just bizarre. Yeah, it's a weird one. As I say, only him and his agent will know the reasoning, the logic behind it. It's strange.
Yeah, he is, of course, still a free agent. So even after the deadline is passed, he will be able to move to a club, whether that's in the Premier League or in the Championship. So it'll be interesting to see where he does end up, unless he's just fancying playing golf now or something like that. Who blooming knows? So I like to think that he's holding out for a Championship move because he knows in the Championship he scores goals and he can just make himself like an absolute hero by just being an absolute bagsman in the Championship, but then not doing much when he goes up to the Premier League. Maybe that's his thinking. But why he's turned down Leicester and the big offer there, I don't know. So what is he holding out for? It's a very, very good question. Ladies and gents, we've been talking to you now for 49 minutes. Which is absolutely mental. It's absolutely flown by, hasn't it, Justin? But it goes to show that we've been having a lot of fun here tonight. So if you've enjoyed this live stream so far and you're not subscribed to us, why not? Make sure you hit that subscribe button and get involved for future live streams and any further content that we have coming out from across the Second Tier Podcast YouTube channel. If you are a big fan of the channel, then now would be a perfect time to sign up to the Second Tier YouTube membership community. For £4.99 you can get access to the Second Tier Discord, custom emojis, and you'll be able to get access at £49
£4.99 a month.
£4.99 a month. Been talking for so long that I'm losing my head. £4.99 a month. You'll be able to access the YouTube membership communities. Sorry, producer Tom has just been rabbiting at me in my ear for getting that wrong, so I apologise to everyone. But yes, access to Zamora Time, which is our special episode that we do every single weekend, access to the Second Tier Discord, and custom emojis. A lot to get involved with there. We have a comment here from Fly1882 who says, when QPR go up, we shall build a statue of Ryan because he's the only one that believes. Hey, yeah. Have QPR done anything today, Justin? I don't think they have, as far as I'm aware. Have they? They got a lot of business done in the final week of the window, didn't they? So I don't think they necessarily needed much, but that seems to be all sorted. We were talking about West Brom not long ago, Justin. This is one which has caught me off guard. They've confirmed the signing of Charlie Taylor on a season-long loan from Southampton. Didn't hear any murmurs about that at all. But what do you think about that one?
No murmurs of a transfer. Oh, how it used to be, Ryan. Oh, I love it. Love it. Defenders only at West Brom. Defenders only.
Yeah.
They signed Hegabo. I can't remember what attackers they've signed now. Or sorry, non-defenders they've signed. But yeah, very, very defensive signings. I like Charlie Taylor. I really, really like Charlie Taylor. I think he's a very dependable fullback. I think he's capable of slotting into the centre back as well. Russell Martin really liked him, which I thought was weird because Charlie Taylor came from that Burnley era where it was just 4-4-2 and effing lump it. So, yeah, I think it's a very tidy signing. Just a lot of defenders at West Brom. A lot of defenders.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what the thinking is behind this one, considering
He's not a direct replacement for Tom Fellows, is he? Let's be honest.
well, exactly. They've signed 4 centre halves already this window. They've got Callum Styles at left back. They've got Samuel Illing Jr., who I believe can play further forward. So maybe that's where they see him playing going forwards. I don't know. But Charlie Taylor as well, considering Illing Jr. can do a job at left back. Yeah, that seems like a bit of an interesting one. One that I'm not sure they necessarily needed, but maybe that is kind of an indicator of where they fancy Illing Jr. playing in the long term. I don't know. Let's talk about Derby County. Justin, our beloved Rams. They have not done any business so far today. I have seen them linked with Dan Barlasser, but they've been linked with Dan Barlasser for feeling like the last 2 years now. Yeah. Ben Brereton Diaz has come in on loan, which we gave a fleeting mention to yesterday. Are you excited about that one, Justin?
I think it's better I don't say what I want to say, so let's just take that. I'm very excited, is what I'm saying.
Oh, fine, okay.
It's a family show right now, okay? Let's just keep it that way.
Okay, I mean that is what we all pay to do, to give your feeling on these
Wait,
moves.
I get paid.
Brereton Diaz, I think, is a cracking signing for Derby. They definitely needed additions in attack, and particularly on the wing. That was particularly where Derby needed to improve. And Brereton Diaz for Derby is a cracking move. That one I really, really do like. And Justin likes it as well, despite him being tight-lipped on his feelings towards it. Kane Wilson leaving for MK Dons is a very strange one. Dropping down to League Two seems like a very strange move for someone who... Go on.
I wanted to bring this up because you tweeted that he was one of the best right backs in the Championship last season.
I said he was one of the best right backs, not the best right back.
In the top 50, was he?
No, he was very good for Derby last season. He was on many occasions the only one who offered anything in attack. So I was fully expecting him to, because Derby had been linked with a right back throughout the summer. I was fully expecting him to move on, but I assumed he was going to go to another Championship club. So him dropping down to League Two is a very, very strange one. I don't understand what the career move thinking is with that, particularly because he's mid-20s still.
Yeah.
So, don't really know what the thinking is there, but I'm guessing he's getting paid a fair sum at MK Dons, who seem to have gone all out when it comes to their business this past summer. Who haven't we talked about yet, Justin? Let's talk about Preston North End, shall we? I did see murmurs earlier in the day of them potentially trying to get Tom Cannon back on loan, which would have been an interesting one, but I think Sheffield United would have been mad to let him go out on loan after just signing him for £10 million in January. So that doesn't seem to be happening now. Harrison Armstrong is apparently joining on loan from Everton. He was on loan at Derby last season, in the second half of last season. I was very impressed with him. And from what I understand, David Moyes has been very impressed with him and was keen to keep him around, but it sounds like they're willing to now let him drop down to the Championship. And joining Preston, I think that's a very good move for them.
Yeah, I know he was linked with Derby as well, which would have been a shrewd move, but I don't think he would have been a guaranteed starter with the midfield movement and the midfield shape up at Pride Park under John Eustace. So I think him going to Preston would be a very, very good move. I think he'll have such a good 6 months,
Sorry, carry on.
such a good 6 months that that I think he may even get recalled in the January transfer window from for Everton. But yeah, I think it's a shrewd move. He's a midfielder who can do just about everything, which is good.
Yeah, considering he was only 18, I think, when he was playing for Derby last season. I don't know whether he's had his birthday since then, but last season he was a very mature and talented lad. I was very, very impressed with him and played a key part in Derby turning around their fortunes. So yeah, that was very impressive. The reason I was laughing, Justin, because we were just talking about why do West Brom need to sign a striker? They've got Devante Cole. Come on, West Brom, what are you thinking? Devante Cole has now departed the club by mutual agreement.
this literally just dropped. I saw it pop up on my screen a minute ago, and I was like, so Matt, you were right. West Brom still need a striker.
We were saying that all tongue-in-cheek, West Brom fans, but not seriously suggesting Devante Cole. Okay, we weren't suggesting Devante Cole was the answer for West Brom and their potential issues if there were to be some sort of a problem for Hegebo. If you are just joining the live stream, then thank you for joining us. You are joining us right at the tail end of this live stream. But please give us any last minute questions or comments that you want us to talk about regarding any business for your club or maybe another club in the Championship. And we'll try to answer as many questions and talk about any comments that you guys have before we wrap things up today. Because, Justin, we have just 2 minutes left of the deadline. Any clubs who are messing around, just sat back, drinking coffee or whatever, just waiting for things going, we've still got plenty of time, they need to pull the bloody finger out because time is very much not on their side. As usual, there will be deals that happen after the deadline has passed because that's always how things happen. But as things stand, we've talked about all the deals which we believe are still on the table across the Championship. We'll give a quick mention to Hull City, Justin. They have signed Darko. Well, I'm not sure this is actually permanent yet, but Darko Giarbi looks to be joining on a permanent from Leeds. They've also signed. Oh God, how am I going to do this? They've also signed.
I believe in you.
Sorry, come on. Amir Hadzimetovic. Amir Hadzimetovic.
How is that spelled?
Oh, it's a great question. So, yeah, he's one who's joined today. Hull, as usual, doing a fantastic job of just signing players who nobody has heard of. Giarbi was on loan at Plymouth last season, though, wasn't he, Justin? What do you think about that one?
Yeah, he was a handy player, wasn't he? But it was hard to make sense of that Plymouth side because, a player that we love significantly was Ballymumba, and his form's not anywhere near where it used to be. But he was certainly a useful operator in midfield. I think for Hull to get him on a free transfer is a pretty significant move. And he's still young, he's still got room to develop, and Hull will be a good place for that. They obviously they can't sign players for fees, so getting him on free transfers is massive. I imagine there might be a sell-on clause. I was surprised to see Leeds let him go for nothing.
Justin, I'm going to have to interrupt you because
it's breaking news,
ladies and gents. It is now 7:00. The window has slammed shut. This is it. If you are a Championship club and you have not done your business yet, of course, deals can still happen after this point, as long as the wheels are in motion. But that's it. For plenty of clubs, that means time has come and gone when it comes to them strengthening their team. Of course, can still do free transfers, but as far as everything else is concerned, that is it across the deadline day. Now, we were just talking about Hull City, Justin. We'll get back onto them in a sec. I have just seen news potentially regarding Sheffield Wednesday, who may, after all, have signed a player. I'm just double checking that they may have actually given permission to sign a player. They have. Sheffield Wednesday have signed a player, Justin. It's happened.
Wow, this
They
is
have not become possibly the first club ever to not make a single signing throughout the entire summer.
they've not become a pub quiz answer. Get
No,
in.
be a very obscure pub quiz for that to be involved. But Harry Amass has joined on loan from Manchester United, right at the death even. Sheffield Wednesday have managed to get a signing over the line. He's a left back from Manchester United, as I say. It's happened. Fantastic. They've managed to get someone in. What the logistics are behind that and why it's been allowed, I'm not sure. Because, as we say, Sheffield Wednesday haven't been given permission by the EFL to sign players so far. I'm assuming what's happened is Manchester United have agreed to pay his wages. So, interesting that Wednesday have been given permission to do that, but that is good news. I think we can all agree on that, unless you are from the red half of Sheffield. Portsmouth have announced the signing of Franco Ume. There you go. That's another one through the door just before the deadline has passed. Any other business to take care of, Justin? We'll quickly touch on Bristol City, shall we? Because they confirmed the signing of Neto Borges on loan from Middlesbrough. I think that was yesterday, not today. But what did you make of that one?
Neto Borges, well, what did I make of it? He's a player who's obviously he can play at left wing back, and he has played at left centre half as well for Borough. So there's flexibility there. But I think from an advanced sense, there's cover there for Cameron Pring, but also cover in the back line as well. Weirdly, Bristol City suffer a lot with defensive injuries. They have done for the best part of 18 months. Luke McNally's been injured. Rob Dickey's had his spell. There will be others, so he comes in and adds depth in Akira. I don't know if this is just me being picky. I'm surprised that Borough will let a player go out to a potential rival vying for the playoffs. So I would put Bristol City and Middlesbrough in the same category of teams pushing for the top six. So that's a surprise, but maybe I'm just overly petty. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't think he was ever going to be getting game time at Middlesbrough this season because he didn't impress me too much last season with Borough, so I'm not surprised he's moved on. But Bristol City needed more depth at a left wing back because Ross McCrory's been doing a fantastic job in these first few games, so I can't see him being shifted out anytime soon, even though I think he'd much prefer to be playing on the right-hand side, but who knows? But yeah, it's a bit of depth at the very least for Sheffield Wednesday. Bristol City. You can tell we've been talking for a long time, Justin. Got a comment here from Richard Bradley, who is now reacting to the transfer window slamming shut because that means Hayden Hackney is staying at Middlesbrough, which is a big boost for them. Is that the best business of the window, he asks?
It'd be very fickle of me to say yes after Josh Sargent and oozing over that, and Gus Harmer as well. So I think if you're keeping your best players, then yes, absolutely. Especially if Hayden Hackney had a bid accepted by a rival club in the Championship and turn them down, you can argue that might even be better than Josh Sargent staying at Norwich. But Hackney staying, I think he's Middlesbrough getting into the top six and being a promotion challenger this season. I know they sit top of the league, but you've got to sustain it for the entire campaign. If they have any chance of being promoted, Hayden Hackney has to be at the club. Or you replace him. Aren't many better players that you can get for a good price than Hayden Hackney. So yeah, very, very astute business there, not selling him.
Yeah, Hayden Hackney, arguably the best midfielder in the Championship as far as I'm concerned. So managing to keep hold of him is astonishingly good, really, for Middlesbrough. So as far as Middlesbrough are concerned, yeah, that is their best business of the summer. I'm quite confused about how they've managed to keep him, considering he turned down Ipswich. I'm guessing the reason he turned them down was because he wanted to move to the Premier League. And despite some last-minute interest from the likes of Wolves and Everton, that doesn't seem to have come to fruition. So looks like he's staying at Middlesbrough until at least January. And that is a big boost for Middlesbrough. But how they've managed to do it is surprising, to say the very least. But yeah, that's a big old boost for Middlesbrough going forwards. Have we had any late deals that have gone through in the last few minutes? I don't believe so.
Nothing yet.
Justin,
I've seen some Derby reports saying there's a bit happening after 7, but this is the part of the window where your club secretaries get in touch with the EFL and just say, "Can we just have a little bit more time to do this, please?" Because the fax machine's faxing. I don't know how it works, but you get the point. There's these the questions are asked and special requests are made just to see if they can get these deals over the line. It's the ones that fall through that I'm now invested in. I need to see it. I need to see the meltdowns.
Yeah, because that does always tend to happen, doesn't it? When
or a club posting that they don't go to sleep yet, and then they sell 2 players, and then they say goodnight, like Leeds did all those years ago.
Yeah, infamously so as well. But yeah, I always find it quite interesting what the logistics are behind a club not having the deal sewn up before 7 p.m, but then having special permission to carry on pursuing the deal. Like what kind of barrier do you have to have gone past to get the move, to get permission to still carry on doing the move? I don't really know. Got a comment here from Philip, who I assume is a Millwall fan, who says the big Serb Ivanovic staying at Millwall is the best business for the Lions. Yes, nodding my head in agreement with that one. I think for plenty of clubs, just keeping hold of their most talented players, like your Hayden Hackleys, like your Ivanovic, is always going to be the best bit of business they could do at this stage, and that is absolutely the case. Justin, I'm going to ask you an impromptu question, which you haven't had any preparation for, because that's just how we roll here when we do these live streams. What has been your deal of transfer deadline day, which hasn't necessarily happened yet, but looks like it may happen or has already been confirmed today? Which one? What's the standout one for you?
Well, I mentioned Connor Chaplin earlier because Portsmouth are getting a player who can score goals at Championship level, who's incredibly lively, who's going to create, who's going to sew things together in that attack, and they're getting him on loan. And this isn't a slight towards Portsmouth, but was there a battle for his signature? If he was available, I'd have suspected more clubs would have been in for him. I mean, if he's chosen Portsmouth, then fair enough. I know he's got history there. That's absolutely fine. But I would say Connor Chaplin going out on loan there is a really, really impressive signing. I think it pushes Portsmouth from a realm of being a sort of a lower mid-table team to maybe having aspirations of finishing in the top half, because I rate the signing that highly.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see how he gets on there. You say he's got history at Portsmouth, Justin. Small matter of he was there from the age of 6 and then left when he was 22. So, and he was unbelievable for Portsmouth all those years ago. It took a bit of a while actually after he left Pompey to really see him establish himself at Championship level. But at Ipswich, you're absolutely right. He has been killing it there, really. He's loved by Ipswich fans. So them getting him is an absolutely cracking move. And him going back to the place where it all started. We always like those moves anyway, don't we, Justin? It's always nice and heartening to see. And with Matt Ritchie doing it last season, that working out pretty well. Connor Chaplin can now fill that gap. My only question mark is where he fits in. But that attacking trio of Segicic, Murphy and Connor Chaplin, we're talking about players staying at clubs being so important now. Josh Murphy staying at Portsmouth, big boost, assuming that is the case. That's a very nice attacking trio just behind Colby Bishop.
Yeah, well, exactly. There's goals. There's potential. There's ability to mix it up and shoot from distance. There's a lot of variations in that attack. There really is. And like I said, keeping Josh Murphy is massive, because for me, if I was in charge of Portsmouth and a team came in with a £3 or £4 million bid, I might be inclined to sell, because he's at the wrong age, wrong side of 30, if you like, and he's had his standout season. So sell him at his peak value. But again, I don't run a club, so I don't have to do that. But I think what Portsmouth have put together there is gone under the radar. Certainly has. Colby Bishop, I think, is going to score 13, 14 goals. Connor Chaplin's going to contribute to goals. Josh Murphy, we've seen, can contribute to goals. Yeah, this is
just goals. It's a lot of goals.
This is a really impressive lineup, and I'm not understating it. I'm now very excited for Pompey. Now very excited. And then you add Joe Bursic into it, who can take free kicks. Good grief. Good grief!
Yeah, yeah. I would love it if he were to
Just
continue
one,
that.
just one, please.
Just one,
Just
please.
one.
Come on, Joe. As far as my signing of deadline day is concerned, I think it's probably going to be one which we did mention in the show yesterday, but has only been confirmed today, and that's Ben Sheaf to Wrexham. I think for 6.5 million, that is cracking value.
Yeah.
Been plenty critical about Wrexham and their business and how they may have overspent on certain players, but Ben Sheaf, I think, is just. I mean, I'm such a big Ben Sheaf fan anyway, but I think the player they're getting for 6.5 million that's cracking value. It may even go down as possibly my signing of the summer. I'll take a bit of revising about that because we are going to be doing a transfer window roundup this week, Justin. So we can talk more about it then. But yeah, that is such an exciting move for me and a real statement move for Wrexham going forwards. And as we say, they have now broken the record for the most money spent in a single summer from a team who haven't been freshly relegated from the Premier League at Championship level anyway. So yeah, a very, very well. We always knew they were going to spend a lot of money anyway, unless you're Justin Peach. But they've gone out there and significantly strengthened the side. I think my only concern with Wrexham now, Justin, is you look at their team from the weekend. The starting 11, strong. It's the bench where I was looking at it thinking, it's the team who got them promoted from League One, and that was the team that we were saying definitely needed to strengthen, wasn't it?
That's fair. That's fair. But they've got a stronger starting 11 than probably than a lot of the Championship. It's a very, very tidy 11. I know there are question marks about Danny Ward, but he's an experienced goalkeeper. He's going to do okay. Callum Doyle, Lewis O'Brien, Kiefer Moore, Connor Cody. These are all dependable players at this level. They got Liberato Kucheche, who I do really, really like. And then you add Ben Sheaf into the mix, Josh Windass when he's fit. It's a very capable starting 11. You'd argue that the starting 11 is capable of pushing for the top half if all fit and firing, maybe even further. But obviously, you are right to mention the squad depth. But as I say, I think if there's enough quality on the pitch at the time the whistle goes at 3:00, gets you 70% of the way there, doesn't it? So, not something I'm too concerned as the season goes. I think the starting 11 is good enough to finish outside the bottom three, definitely.
Are you regretting having that bet with me earlier in the summer
What was the bet?
of Wrexham to finish above Watford?
No.
You're not regretting that? Okay, fair enough.
Irun Kunda. That's all I've got to say.
Ben Sheaf. That's what I'll say. Speaking of Wrexham, literally just had it confirmed that they are signing Issa Kabore on loan from Man City, which is an interesting one. He was on loan at Luton a couple of seasons ago, wasn't he, in the Premier League? Yeah. And caught the eye on plenty of occasions then. So not sure why he's dropping down to Championship level again. I would have assumed he would be looking for a move to a top 5 European league, but a big move for Wrexham. I think right wing back was one of those.
Top 5 European league. Just going to throw that one out there.
Traditionally, no, but that's what I was referring to there. Well, we can have that debate another day. We've got plenty of other things to be talking about now, Justin. But right wing back was one of those areas where I was looking at with Wrexham. Probably one of the last areas where they needed to get another addition in, and that is some going there. So, yeah, I'm very impressed with some aspects of Wrexham's business this summer. Certain aspects which we've spoken about previously, maybe not so much, but yeah, that's the kind of signing which does make me go, ooh, I like that. Watford have announced the signing of Senegalese international Formose Mendy from Lorient on loan until the end of the season. He's a centre-back who they've been linked with for the past few weeks. I think centre-back was one of those areas which I was looking at with Watford thinking they needed strengthened. So good to see that come in, Justin. I don't know if you got a take on that.
No, Watford have shopped abroad. They've done a better job of it than Blackburn have, but there are a lot of unknowns there. I think that's all you can say with that. So, yeah, can't comment too much. I don't know too much about him, but there's they've signed a lot of potential, and Nampalys Mendy.
Yes, Nampalys Mendy. There you go. Yeah, just another Mendy though. They've got too many Mendys now. We're going to get our Mendys mixed up again, Justin, as I was alluding to last week. But yeah, you're right. Watford have signed a lot of potential. That seems to be the approach that they've been going with. So how it works out for them this season is going to be very, very interesting. But there we go, ladies and gents. We've been on air now for an hour and 15 minutes. I think it's just about time for us to wrap up here, Justin, because if you've been watching this live stream today, thank you so much for joining us on our roundup of all the deadline day business. I'm sure there's still going to be some deals which are happening after the deadline, because that's just how it goes for whatever reason. So we can cover all that at a later date, Justin. But otherwise, it's been a lot of fun, this, hasn't it? Chatting about all the deals, chatting to our viewers as well, who have been joining us throughout the past hour and a bit.
Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. Would do it again in January. Hopefully, yeah, we'll do it again if it's not an 11 p.m. deadline. I think that's pushing the boat out a little bit. But
Yeah,
maybe.
It was very nice of them to move it forwards a few
Yeah.
hours, wasn't it? Because 7 o'clock deadline, I can definitely get on board with that. It makes my life a lot
Can't have a tea
easier.
after this. This is great.
What are you having for tea?
Baked beans and a jacket potato.
Standard. Nice.
Love it.
Can't go wrong with that. I think I'm having Thai coconut noodle soup, which is interesting. It's very nice.
Yeah.
Bit chickish. There's
Snazzy.
a bit of sriracha in there, Justin. It's good stuff.
Tease.
Yeah. Yeah. There we go, ladies and gents. As I say, if you have joined us for the past hour and a bit, thank you so much for joining us. We are hoping to do more live streams going forwards as well. I think we've got penciled in a reaction after the game that's coming up next in the Championship next Friday. The game's escaping me off the top of my head. Is it Ipswich, Sheffield United? That sounds right. So we'll be doing more of these going forwards. And if you have enjoyed it here today, then please, by all means, subscribe to the Secateurs YouTube channel for more live streams like this and any other content which we will be putting out over the coming months and days. But yes, it's been a lot of fun here today. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for everyone who has posted a comment, given us a question or their opinion on anything to do with their club. It's been greatly appreciated. So a big thank you for joining us today. But otherwise, this has been the Secateurs Podcast. I've been Ryan Dilks.
I've been Justin Peach.
And a big thank you for watching.